let's sit in a moment in the problem. And if you look at the top, the real issue all the way up here at the top is AI adoption is being treated as a tool rollout. And we sort of had a little proof in the pudding today with our little Likert scale, right, that we created that, yeah, there's a lot of activity, there's tool rollout, but what we're not getting is that traction around business performance and really having it drive performance. And what we think the problem is that senior leaders are not crafting the why. So they're not crafting the why. So people aren't really being expected to use it to drive performance. And then when you get down to frontline managers, I don't really know what to tell you and coach to you because you got the tool, do the best that you can do.
This piece of this really resonates with me because that's exactly what happened in my corporation. So there's really no positioning around how we should be using Claude, if we can use Claude, what are the guardrails? What's the purpose of it in our business? So how do we as individuals use it? How do we as departments use it? So it really leaves for an inconsistent experience. There were some people who were very gung-ho and using it pretty proficiently right away. Others weren't touching it. So it really left for a lack of adoption, unclear where we're headed. And that's really what the experience was for our group.
But let's start with the context because that's where most people screw up right in the beginning. They don't give it enough context. So it's like you're going to hire a new CMO and say, give me a marketing plan, but you don't give them any of the SEC data, none of the website traffic, and you don't give them enough context. So you're going to get a generic answer out of that, and that frustrates people. Context is everything.
We say things like we want to improve productivity and we want to reduce error and omissions, but oftentimes we don't dig into what is the baseline for that today. Right. So what data do we have on what that looks like right now? And, so we say we want to improve productivity, but half the time we have no way in hell of measuring what productivity actually is. And so improving productivity is nothing more than my tummy feels good about what we're doing because more stuff is being created.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what ends up happening is we actually create more errors and omissions. And we're like, yeah, but we're going so much faster. And you're like, right, but we're spending 10 times more time cleaning up the absolute dumpster fires that we're creating as a result of this. And I think that's one of the things with this. It's a really good question for us as learning leaders to be asking up front. And you'll see a lot of deer in headlights looks, but actually, because that's another thing you can put in here for context.
I think that's part of the outcomes that we're seeing right now, right? We haven't set a target or set of targets. We just said, use the tool to improve productivity. So there's 500 agents that got created to improve productivity, right? But are they even addressing productivity that matters, right?
Yeah.
Like, are they, like you said, Christopher, yeah, they sped something up, but they generated 5 times the errors. So now instead of people doing the work, we have to take twice as many people to fix the problems.
We got to talking about the different platforms and how to use them. So which ones provide different value for different tasks, being like Claude, GPT, Copilot, just kind of understanding maybe where to start in one and then to move over to another. I thought that was really interesting. I hadn't really thought about it like that. I keep going to the same agent.
One thing that we discovered was that there was a lot of dependency on how much we used the AI tool that we used for the exercise, that the questions that came back were in context with what it knows about us and the roles that we play.
Yeah, I think on our team, we had talked about putting in some cultural information about the environment, the work environment, and maybe getting more specific about what it is that we'd like to see change.
With some of our findings, and mine in particular, as we went through the exercise, is the starting point is also really important. I started with a very general type of request. And it asked very insightful questions that I hadn't thought of as I was building the prompt. But the output that it gave was much more elaborate than what I could easily implement, given what I know about my leadership team. And again, these are things that we know that AI won't know.